A kind but poor teacher helped a sick orphan girl, only for the girl to vanish from the village, leaving behind silence and sorrow. This is how it all began. Joseph had just been transferred to Nando Community School. It was his first day. He walked happily on the road, excited to see his new school. As he got closer to the school gate, he saw a girl sitting by the side. She was sweating profusely, weak, her face so pale and dry. Her school uniform was dirty, torn, and hanging loosely on her small body. Joseph was touched and pitied her. He walked up to her and asked gently, "You are looking sick, little one. Why are you standing here? Why haven't you gone inside the school? Or better still, gone home?" The girl looked down and said, "It's nothing, sir. Just a headache. Besides, I can't enter inside the way I am. My classmates will laugh at me again, and I am not feeling too well to go in." He asked softly, "When was the last time you ate?" The girl replied, "I have not been given food at home since yesterday." Joseph was surprised. "Why didn't they give you food and medicine?" he asked. The girl sighed and said, "It's a punishment from my mother." Joseph was confused. What kind of mother would do that? Why would anyone starve their child? But Joseph didn't know the full truth. Mary didn't have a real mother. Her parents were gone. Joseph felt sorry for her. He gently held her hand and led her to a small food place near the school. He used his money to buy her a plate of rice and stew, and also buy her some medicine to take and get well. Looked at him with tears in her eyes. She grabbed the spoon and began to eat fast, like someone who hadn't eaten in days, or someone who was scared the food would disappear too. After Mary finished eating and taking the medicine, she regained herself in a short while. Joseph smiled and said, "Come, let's go back to school now." But Mary shook her head. "I can't," she said quietly. "My classmates always make fun of me for my uniform, and they always laugh at me. I won't be able to bear it." Joseph thought for a while, then said kindly, "Okay, wait for me here. I'll go quickly and come back. Then I'll take you to the market and buy you a new uniform if that's okay with you." Mary nodded. "I will wait," she said. But the moment Joseph turned his back, something in Mary snapped. She looked left, then right, like a bird searching for a way out of a cage. Then, without a word, she turned and walked away. Not to the school, not to his house, but into the unknown, into the wide, wide world where no one was waiting and no one would call her back. Mary was tired of the schoolmates, tired of her life. She always wished her real parents were still alive. Schoolmates always mock her, tired of her auntie who beat her, tired of a village where no one truly cared ever since her parents passed. She had made up her mind. She would leave and never return. So she walked and walked away. Later that day, when school was about to close, Joseph came back to the food place, but Mary was not there. He waited a bit, then thought maybe she went home. So he went to his own house, but Mary did not go home. Her auntie and the husband were already waiting for her at home. Mary's auntie stood with a hard face and said, "No matter when she comes, I must definitely punish her to keep me waiting for her like a stray dog. She dares to disobey me again." They waited. Night came, but Mary never returned. The next morning, Mary's auntie asked around. Someone told her that Mary was seen the day before with a teacher at school, a male teacher who just got transferred. Mary's auntie rushed to the school and found Joseph. She shouted, "Where is my daughter?" Joseph was surprised and confused. "I don't understand," he said. "Who and what are you talking about?" the woman barked. "Mary, you were the last person seen with her in this village. Where are you keeping her?" Joseph took a step back. "I only helped her. She was sick and hungry and sat by the side of the school gate yesterday. I gave her food. That was all," he said softly. Mary's aunt stormed out of the school compound, boiling with anger. She went straight to the police station. Meanwhile, the headmistress called Joseph into her office. "What happened between you and Mary?" she asked. Joseph explained everything. "That girl, yesterday I saw her. She was sick, weak, and tired, even hungry. I gave her food and asked her to wait for me so I could take her to the market and buy a new uniform. But when I came back, she was gone." The headmistress rubbed her head, confused. "You only helped your student, and now she is missing. Do you know how strange this sounds?" As they were still talking, Mary's auntie returned with a police officer beside her. She pointed at Joseph and shouted, "That is him! He is not a teacher. He is a criminal pretending to be a teacher. He has taken my daughter and hidden her somewhere." Joseph stood up, shocked. His voice shook. "I only helped the girl. I gave her food. And I don't think the woman taking care of her knew that she was sick and didn't do anything to her. That's all, and I know I didn't do anything wrong." As tears welled up at the back of his eyes, but the officer didn't listen. He arrested him and took him to the police station. And there, the questions began. "Where is Mary? Are you a child trafficker? What did you do to her? Are you working alone?" Joseph could only cry and repeat, "I don't know. I just helped her, and I am not into what you are accusing me of. Please, you have to believe me." But far away from all the noise, the truth was different. After Joseph left Mary at the restaurant near the school, she wiped her mouth, stood up, and walked to the big food market on the edge of the village. There, she saw a big lorry bus being loaded with harvested beans packed in a bag. Quietly, without anyone seeing her, she crept into the back of the bus and hid between the bags of the beans. No one noticed, not the driver, not the market women, not even the loaders. Mary had vanished, but not by magic. She had chosen to disappear. She took a risk, instead of staying with her wicked auntie. Instead, let herself be lost in the depth of the world out there, knowing that no matter how small she is, she would find a way to survive. That morning, before Joseph met her, Mary's aunt had given her a hard choice. "You must choose school or farm," the auntie said. "If you choose school, then you must leave my house forever and see how you will survive without me. I pity your late parents if you die a miserable death and join them." Mary's auntie no longer wanted Mary to go to school. She only wanted her to work on the farm, but Mary's heart was in school. She wanted to learn, to read, to become someone better. And even life on the farm was full of pain, toiling every day at the farm with no rest. No matter how hard Mary worked, it was never enough. Her auntie always complained, and whenever she was angry, she would cut fresh canes from the trees and flog Mary badly, so badly that her back burned with pain and marks from the cane. So that morning, Mary made her decision. It was better to run away and enter the world than to live a life of beatings and sorrow, as she had no one to lean on. That's why, after Joseph left her at the canteen near the school, Mary walked to the food market and hid inside a bus packed with bags of beans. The next day, the bus reached its destination, a big, busy city. People moved up and down, cars honked, sellers shouted. Before the driver could even step down, Mary quietly jumped down from the big bus. She looked around. Tall buildings, strange faces, no one she knew, no one to call her name. Mary was completely lost. She didn't know where to start. For a second she even thought if she had made the biggest mistake of her life, running away, as she felt nostalgic. But one thing was sure, she was never going back to that village. Never. Meanwhile, at the police station, Joseph was going through hell. The officers were harsh. Their voices were loud, their faces full of anger and suspicion. One of them slammed the table and shouted, "Do you even know how much trouble you are into now? If you don't bring out that girl where you hid her, you could definitely spend the rest of your life in prison." Another officer leaned in, eyes burning with doubt. "He thinks he can steal a child and then come here and tell us sob stories. How can you say you just bought food for a girl? and all of a sudden she disappeared. I've worked in this village for more than 7 years. No child has ever gone missing. Until you came along, now one child is gone. But no matter how much they shouted, threatened, or tried to break him, Joseph was scared, but he stood by the truth. His voice was low but firm. I only helped her. She was hungry and weak. That's all I did. I swear it. Joseph was locked up overnight in the cell. The cold walls, the silence, the weight of fear pressed on him, but he held on to his innocence like a shield. The next day, Joseph's brother and Joseph's daughter arrived from their village. His brother entered the station with tired eyes but strong steps. Don't worry, he said softly. I will find a way to handle this. I've put our family land for sale. I'll sell it and use the money to get you the best lawyers. We'll fight this. I won't let them destroy you. Joseph's eyes widened. Please don't do it, he begged through tears. Don't sell the land. You know that's all we have left from our late father. Don't do this because of me. But his brother shook his head slowly. I won't stand and watch while you spend the rest of your life in prison. You did nothing wrong, and I will prove it. Joseph tried to make his brother change his mind, but he refused. When it was time for them to leave, Joseph's little daughter, Grace, suddenly burst into tears. She clung to her father and shouted, This is unfair. Why are they treating you as the bad guy? I won't let you go like this. Joseph tried to stay strong, but his heart broke into pieces. At first, he held back his tears, but the moment he hugged his daughter close, he couldn't hold it anymore. The tears came pouring out. Joseph's wife, who was also Grace's mother, died of cancer 4 years ago, when Grace was just 7 years old. He made a promise to his late wife that he will always be there for Grace, no matter what. But not everyone showed Joseph kindness. One afternoon, a friend who was also a fellow teacher came to visit him at the station. He folded his arms and shook his head. I warned you, he said sharply. You're too good to people, and now look at where you have landed yourself into. Every time you see someone in need, you want to help. Now look where it has gotten you. Joseph sighed, his eyes tired but calm. God will vindicate me, he said quietly. The friend scoffed. Where is that God now that you're behind bars? Look, if you had just minded your own business and walked away like everyone else, you'd be at home by now. You helped a girl, and now you might spend your life in prison if they don't find her. What were you thinking? You didn't even think about your own daughter before getting yourself into this mess, and now she might be fatherless. The words stabbed into Joseph's heart like a knife, but he didn't reply. He just looked down and kept quiet. And yes, in his mind, he thought about his daughter too, and that is why he helped the poor girl. Deep inside, he was still hoping that somehow God would come through for him. What people didn't know was that Joseph was one of the rarest kinds of people in the world. He could not see someone suffering and just walked away. Even when he had nothing, he would look for a way to help. Yes, his kindness had gotten him into trouble before, but never like this. And even now, sitting in a cell with the weight of false accusations on his shoulders, he still believed he did the right thing. That evening, when the noise at the station died down and all was quiet, Joseph fell on his knees and cried out to God. Why me, Lord? He wept. I didn't do anything bad. Only you know that I didn't hurt the girl. I only helped a sick and hungry child. Now my case is in court. Please, God, help me. If I remain here, who will look after my daughter and brother? Tears rolled down his cheeks as he poured his heart out. He didn't stop there. He also prayed for Mary's safe return. Wherever she is, Lord, please protect her. Keep her safe. Let no harm come to her. Let her find kindness, just like I tried to show her. While Joseph stayed locked inside the police cell, Mary was living all alone under a bridge near a house in Lagos. She roamed the streets during the day and slept under the bridge at night. But tonight, something strange happened. Mary was too scared to sleep out in the open, so she crawled behind deep into the bridge side and tried to rest there. In the middle of the night, as she was half asleep, she suddenly heard footsteps coming from the nearby house beside the bridge. Her heart beat fast, but she stayed very still, hiding deep by the corner as she watched. Then a group of 4 boys in black dragged a man out of his car that stopped in front of the house, 20 miles down from the bridge near the riverside. They dragged him under the bridge. They beat the man half dead and left him after they had threatened him and his family and took his car. Mary heard every word, and she saw all their faces. She was scared to death and afraid. She dared not move or shout. Mary didn't know what to do or help the man lying there half dead. She did the only thing she could. She helped the man, cleaned her up and laid him down by the bridge. The next morning, the man regained consciousness, and Mary helped him as they moved slowly to the man's house, just 20 miles down before the bridge. But the man couldn't make it. He was too weak to walk and fell by the roadside. Mary was tense. What if this man dies here because of me? She thought. She decided and ran to the man's house. At about 7 in the morning, the big gate creaked open slowly. A shiny car rolled out of the house. Mary suddenly ran forward and stood right in front of the car. "Stop! Stop!" she shouted. The driver slammed on the brakes and got out, frowning angrily. "Move out of the way," he shouted. But the woman inside the car stepped out too. She said softly, "Let him be." She took a step forward to meet Mary, as Mary's face looked intense. "Please, I need your help, Ma. There is a man lying by the roadside. He was beaten half dead at night. He told me that this is his house, and he is dying." The woman stopped, looked confused, and said, "What? What do you mean that he said that this is his house?" Mary's voice shook, but she repeated, "Please, you have to come see him. I am not lying to you," and they kept calling him Andrew. The woman was instantly shocked. "What? That's my husband's name." "Where is he?" The woman followed Mary with their driver down the road. The woman saw the man lying at the roadside, as she saw that the man was actually her husband, Mr. Andrew. Andrew was immediately rushed to the hospital for proper treatment. The woman, Mrs. Elizabeth, called the police immediately to investigate the call, and Mary became the witness who saw the whole thing. By the end of that day, the police were able to make an arrest of over 9 boys along the street that matches the description Mary gave. Mary was brought to the station to identify if the boys she saw that night were among the 9 they arrested. Mary came and identified the boys, and they were thrown into prison. They retrieved Mr. Andrew's car. Mrs. Elizabeth was grateful to Mary for having taken care of her husband, despite how scared she was. She called Mary inside and thanked her warmly. "Young girl, what were you doing under the bridge that made you see those boys?" she asked, curiosity in her voice. Mary looked down and said quietly, "I don't have anywhere else to go. That's where I sleep." Mrs. Elizabeth leaned closer, wanting to understand more. "Who are you? Where do you come from? Who are your parents?" Mary took a deep breath and told her story. "I am an orphan. I lived with my auntie in the village. I wanted to go to school, but she told me to stop schooling and follow her to the farm every day or leave her house. And even when I worked on the farm, she beat me all the time, reminding me of the useless person I am." Then Mary slowly pulled off her torn top and turned her back toward Mrs. Elizabeth. Her eyes grew wide in shock. "Oh my God!" she gasped as she saw the terrible marks and scars all over her skin. Who would do such a terrible thing to a child? An orphan, no less. Oh my God, you have been through all this at this young age. Mrs. Elizabeth gave Mary breakfast, and after she finished eating, she went down on her knees. "Please," she begged. "Please, Ma, allow me to live in your house. Let me be your housemaid, or anything." She smiled kindly and shook her head. Housemaid? No, you are more than a housemaid to me. You can live here as long as you want. I will take care of you like a daughter and a child I never had. This is Elizabeth, and her husband are wealthy. They own several estates and companies across the country. After many years of marriage without having children, her husband always comforts her, telling her that even if she doesn't give her a child, that he is not worried at all, but he will always love her for who she is. Since then, Mrs. Elizabeth had tried to raise other children, but none worked out. Some forgot about her, and some never even bothered to reach out. But when Mary came into her life, she felt it was God's plan, and something was different about her. She made up her mind that she would care for her as her own child. The next week, Mr. Andrew fully recovered and was discharged. He went home, met with the one who saved his life. He accepted Mary and the decision of his wife to adopt Mary as their daughter. The very next Monday, Mrs. Elizabeth enrolled Mary in an expensive private school. Meanwhile, Joseph was still fighting his case in court. After many months of hearings, the judge finally released him, saying there was no strong evidence that he kidnapped Mary or had anything to do with her disappearance. But even though he was free, his problems did not end there. The State Ministry of Education suspended Joseph indefinitely, without pay. He returned to his brother and daughter, and since they had sold their land, all three of them squeezed in their small house and found a way to earn a living, because that land is where they plant fruits and vegetables they sell in the market. Life became very hard. Joseph's brother worked in people's farm as they paid him, but not enough. Joseph barely earned enough, and with no work for Joseph, he started a loading job at the market, loading goods into a lorry. People who knew his story shook their heads in pity. Many called him unwise for helping Mary, but none of that stopped Joseph. He still gave the little he had to children in the neighborhood who couldn't afford food, especially orphans. Years went by, but things did not get better. Poverty still weighed heavily on the family. The Ministry of Education refused to lift his suspension. His daughter Grace graduated from the college but could not find a job, so she started learning how to sew clothes. Meanwhile, Mary had graduated from university and was now running the family business. Mr. Andrew and Mrs. Elizabeth had officially adopted her as their daughter and named her in their will to inherit their properties. Mary managed 3 of the companies, all of which were doing very well. One day, Mary told herself it was time to visit her village. On that fateful day, she travelled back in a Mercedes-Benz car and received a warm welcome. Everyone was surprised to see her. Many had thought she was dead. Her auntie and husband were not only shocked but also afraid because of what they had done to her. At the same time, they wanted to get close to her, hoping to benefit from her wealth. They asked for her forgiveness, and Mary forgave them. They sat down and talked about how she left and all that followed. They even mentioned how Joseph was accused of kidnapping her and the trouble he went through because of that. Mary wept as she listened, then asked, "Where is he now?" "He has returned to his village," they said. "Which village?" "Give me the address," Mary demanded. Without wasting time, she got into her car and drove off. The village was small, and it didn't take her long to find him. She saw Joseph by the market square, sitting at the side of the pavement, drenched in sweat in the evening sun, his face so old from stress and years of hardship. Mary approached him and went down on her knees and pleaded, "Please forgive me." Joseph was confused and didn't recognize the person before him. "What? I don't understand. Who are you?" he asked. Mary said softly, "I am the little girl you helped in the village, the one who caused you to lose your job and brought pain to you and your family." Oh, now I remember," Joseph said, his voice trembling. "You have changed. Please, get up." He hugged her tightly and smiled broadly. Mary drove Joseph home as they sat by the corridor. "Sit down, and let me get you some water to drink. I fed you once before. Let me feed you again." Mary imagined why he was not angry with her, but nevertheless, she sat down and was served a bottle of water. Later, Joseph's daughter came in, and Mary was introduced to her. She apologized, sincerely, saying, "I am sorry for all the pain I caused your family. Please forgive me." Grace smiled warmly and replied, "We never held any grudges against you. Thank God you are safe." Mary smiled back. "Just like your father, kind, loving, and gentle. Thank you." She spent the evening at their home, sharing stories and laughter. The next day, Mary gave them a generous amount of money and promised to do everything she could to lift them out of poverty before returning to the city. Back in the city, Mary told her adopted parents everything that had happened. They assured her that something special would be done for Joseph and his family. That very day, the grand project in Joseph's honor kicked off. 5 months later, they built an entire school complex. Mary returned to the village and moved Joseph and his family into the city to meet Mr. Andrew and Mrs. Elizabeth. The moment they arrived, Mrs. Elizabeth said, "My daughter has told us how you helped her and suffered greatly because of it. We have a small token of appreciation for you." She led them to a brand new school complex with classrooms, hostels, and staff quarters. "This is all yours. You can start your own school here. The principal's quarters are now your home." Tears of joy streamed down Joseph's face. It was more than he had ever hoped for. It was as if Mrs. Elizabeth had read his heart. Joseph had long dreamed of owning a boarding school where he could care for and help students, and now that dream was reality. "All this is ours?" Joseph asked in disbelief. "Yes," Mary replied with a smile. Joseph turned to his brother and daughter, with tears shining in his eyes, hugged them and said softly, "Look, God has indeed answered our prayers." Joseph and his daughter Grace threw themselves into making the school a success. Mary gave Joseph millions of naira to kickstart the institution, and the same friends who once insulted Joseph later came seeking his help. Many even came looking for jobs as teachers at the school. Joseph helped as many as he could. Grace also taught at the school and established her own sewing company. Meanwhile, Joseph's brother, John, with Joseph's financial support, purchased a large plot of land and transformed it into a thriving plantation. The school quickly became one of the best private schools in the country, as it was backed up by one of the wealthiest families in the city. All the years of hardship and struggle melted away in a moment. Joseph and his family went on to lead joyful, thriving lives. Dear viewers, what do you think about this story? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and share it with friends. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest updates. Thanks, God bless, and see you in the next video. Bye.